Have you ever stood in the middle of a room, bathed in sunlight, and had absolutely no idea why you went in there? Or maybe you've run into an old neighbor at the grocery store, someone you've known for 20 years, and for a terrifying blank moment, their name is just gone. It's a word that has vanished from your mind, leaving a silent, empty space where a memory used to be. It's a uniquely unsettling feeling, isn't it? It's more than just simple forgetfulness. It's a fuzzy, heavy sensation that can cloud your thoughts, slow down your wit, and make you feel like you're watching your own life through a thick, gray fog. We call it brain fog, but that gentle name doesn't capture the quiet panic that comes with it. The fear isn't just about forgetting a name or a shopping list. It's the deeper fear of what it represents. It's the fear of losing the sharp mind that has guided you your entire life. The fear of losing your independence, of your stories, of the precious memories that make you, you. And perhaps the biggest fear of all is that this is just the beginning, an inevitable part of getting older that you have no control over. But what if I told you that for millions of us, a significant part of this mental fog isn't inevitable? What if I told you that some of the most common, comforting, and even healthy foods on our plates are actively contributing to this decline? That they are, bite by bite, making the fog thicker. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain. We are going to identify the 5 specific types of food that can worsen memory loss and brain fog in seniors. More importantly, we're going to understand why they are so harmful to an aging brain and what delicious, brain-boosting foods you can enjoy instead. By the end of this video, you will feel empowered, not scared, because you will have a clear roadmap to help clear the fog and protect the brilliant mind you've spent a lifetime building. I know this can be a heavy topic. Talking about memory and the brain touches on some of our deepest vulnerabilities. But it's a conversation we must have, and I'm so glad you're here to have it with me. This channel is a space for real talk, real science, and real solutions. No sugarcoating, pardon the pun. But before we uncover these 5 culprits hiding in your kitchen, I need to know you're with me on this journey. If you are serious about taking back control of your health and sharpening your mind, take just 1 second to click that red subscribe button and the little bell icon next to it. It's a small click, but it's a powerful statement to yourself that you are prioritizing your well-being. And to make this a true conversation, I want to hear from you. Go down to the comments right now and let me know. What is the number 1 health concern on your mind right now? Is it memory? Joint pain? Energy levels? Your voice? Your experience? It matters profoundly here. All right, are you ready? Let's dive in. The first and perhaps most pervasive food group that's clouding our minds is not what you might think. It hides in plain sight in our breakfast cereals, our breads, and our favorite afternoon snacks. The first silent saboteur of our mental clarity we need to talk about is what I call the white brigade. Refined carbohydrates. Now, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about anything made with processed white flour. Think of that soft, fluffy white bread for your morning toast, the bagels you might love with cream cheese, most breakfast cereals that come in a box, white pasta, and even white rice. For decades, these foods have been staples in our diets. They're convenient, they're comforting, and they're everywhere. But here's the hard truth. For an aging brain, they can be devastating. To understand why, we need to talk about something called the glycemic index. It sounds complicated, but it's actually very simple. It's just a measure of how quickly a food causes your blood sugar to rise. And these refined carbohydrates, they are at the very top of the chart. Imagine your body's energy system is like a fireplace. If you put a solid, dense log on the fire, it burns slowly and steadily, giving off consistent heat for hours. This is what happens when you eat complex carbohydrates, like beans or whole grain oats. But when you eat refined carbohydrates, it's like throwing a handful of dry newspaper and kindling onto the fire. You get a huge, immediate burst of flame, a massive spike in energy, or in this case, blood sugar. But what goes up must come down. Your body, specifically your pancreas, sees this sudden surge of sugar as an emergency. It screams, "Red alert! Too much sugar in the blood!" and releases a flood of a hormone called insulin to quickly grab all that sugar and pull it out of your bloodstream. This causes the infamous sugar crash. Suddenly, the fire is out. You feel tired, irritable, and foggy. That afternoon slump where you can't focus, it's often a direct result of the insulin roller coaster started by your lunch. This up and down cycle is stressful for your entire body, but it's uniquely damaging to your brain. Here's why. First, your brain cells need a steady, stable supply of glucose to function. This wild ride of spikes and crashes starves them 1 minute and floods them the next. It's like trying to read a book while someone is flicking the lights on and off. It's exhausting and makes concentration nearly impossible. Second, and this is critical, frequent high insulin levels contribute to something called chronic inflammation. Think of inflammation as your body's natural response to injury. If you cut your finger, it gets red and swollen. That's inflammation at work, healing you. But when your body is constantly dealing with these sugar spikes, it creates a low-grade, simmering inflammation throughout your entire system, including your brain. Scientists now refer to Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes because the link between insulin resistance, brain inflammation, and cognitive decline is so incredibly strong. This inflammation is like a constant, low-level static that disrupts the clear communication between your brain cells, making it harder to form new memories and retrieve old ones. Let's make this real. Imagine this scenario. You start your day with a bowl of cornflakes or a piece of white toast with jam. You get that initial burst of energy and feel pretty good. But by 10:30 a.m., you're feeling sluggish. You can't seem to focus on your crossword puzzle, and you feel an irritable need for a snack. So you reach for a few crackers or a cookie. You get another little spike, followed by another crash. For lunch, you have a sandwich on white bread. By 3 p.m., the brain fog is so thick you can barely keep your eyes open. You might blame it on a poor night's sleep or just getting older. But what you've actually done is put your brain on a brutal, day-long biochemical roller coaster. So, what's the solution? It is not about eliminating carbohydrates. Your brain needs them. It's about a simple, powerful swap. We need to trade the fast-burning kindling for the slow-burning logs. Instead of white bread, try a slice of true, 100% whole grain or sourdough bread. Instead of sugary cereal, have a bowl of oatmeal with berries. Swap white pasta for pasta made from chickpeas or lentils, and white rice for brown rice, quinoa, or farro. These foods release their energy slowly and gently, keeping your blood sugar stable, your insulin levels calm, and your brain supplied with the steady fuel it needs for clear, focused thought all day long. It's a simple change, but its effect on your mental clarity can be profound. By getting off that roller coaster, you're not just avoiding the fog. You're actively reducing the inflammation that lies at the very heart of so much age-related memory loss. And that brings us directly to our second and arguably most insidious brain fog food: the sweet deceivers, added sugars. Now, when I say sugar, I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about the natural sugars you find in a whole piece of fruit, like an apple or a handful of blueberries. Those come packaged with fiber, water, and vital antioxidants that slow down their absorption and provide benefits to your body. I am talking about the added sugars, the sugars that manufacturers pour into our food to make it more palatable, more addictive, and more profitable. This is the sugar in your soda, your sweetened iced tea, your morning pastry, and even in places you would never expect, like ketchup, salad dressings, bread, and pasta sauces. We've already touched on how sugar spikes your blood glucose and insulin, creating that inflammatory storm. But the damage goes much, much deeper. Think of added sugar not just as empty calories, but as an active, slow-acting neurotoxin when consumed in the quantities we see today. Let's look at two devastating things it does directly to the brain. First, it directly attacks your brain's memory-making headquarters, a part of the brain called the hippocampus. Imagine your hippocampus is a busy, sophisticated library, constantly filing new memories and retrieving old ones. A diet high in added sugar does two things to this library. It promotes that chronic inflammation we discussed, which is like having a constant blaring fire alarm going off inside the library, making it impossible for the librarians, your brain cells, to do their work. Else to do. But it also creates these nasty little compounds in your body called advanced glycation end products, or AGs for short. It's a fitting acronym, isn't it? These AGs are formed when sugar molecules stick to proteins and fats, making them stiff, sticky, and dysfunctional. Think of it as molecular caramelization, or even rust, forming on the delicate machinery of your brain cells. This rust damages the neurons in your hippocampus, making them less flexible and less able to communicate with each other. Studies have shown, quite terrifyingly, that high-sugar diets can literally cause the hippocampus to shrink. Your memory center gets smaller and works less efficiently. The second thing sugar does is it slashes your brain's production of a miraculous molecule called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. The easiest way to think of BDNF is as miracle grow for your brain. It's a protein that helps new neurons to grow, to form new connections, and to survive. It's absolutely essential for learning, memory, and keeping your brain plastic and young. When your BDNF levels are high, your brain is in a state of growth and repair. When they are low, your brain is in a state of decline, and study after study has shown a direct link. The more added sugar you consume, the lower your levels of precious BDNF. You are literally starving your brain of the very fertilizer it needs to thrive. Let's walk through a day. You might think you're being healthy by having a low-fat fruit yogurt for breakfast, but you check the label and it has 18 grams of added sugar. That's more than 4 teaspoons. For lunch, you have a salad, which is great, but you douse it in a fat-free French dressing that's loaded with high fructose corn syrup to make up for the lack of flavor. In the afternoon, you grab a can of ginger ale to settle your stomach, adding another 30 grams of sugar. Before you've even had dinner, you've consumed a mountain of added sugar without ever eating a piece of cake or a candy bar. You feel tired, unfocused, and your memory just feels sticky. It's not a dramatic failure. It's a subtle decline in performance, a growing frustration that your mind isn't as sharp as it used to be. That's the work of the sweet deceivers. The empowering news is that you have complete control over this. The first step is to become a sugar detective. Start reading the labels on everything. You'll be shocked. Look for sugar's many aliases: high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, fructose, sucrose, cane juice, fruit juice concentrate. The goal isn't to be perfect, but to be aware. Then start making simple swaps. Instead of that sweetened yogurt, choose plain, full-fat Greek yogurt and add your own fresh berries and a tiny drizzle of maple syrup if you need it. Instead of bottled salad dressing, whisk together some olive oil, lemon juice, and a pinch of salt. Swap that soda for sparkling water with a slice of lime. For a treat, a square or two of high-quality dark chocolate, 70% cocoa or higher, is actually beneficial. It's low in sugar and packed with flavonoids that protect the brain. By consciously cutting down on added sugars, you are directly lowering inflammation, protecting your hippocampus, and boosting your levels of that wonderful brain fertilizer, BDNF. But sugar rarely acts alone. It's often packaged with another partner in crime that is equally, if not more, damaging to the delicate structures of our brain cells. This brings us to our third brain fog food group: the damaging fats, specifically artificial trans fats and an overabundance of processed omega-6 oils. Let's start with the most notorious villain of the fat world, artificial trans fats. For decades, we were told these were a marvel of food science. They are created by taking a liquid vegetable oil and blasting it with hydrogen atoms to make it solid at room temperature. This process, called partial hydrogenation, gave us margarine, shortening, and oils that could be used over and over in deep fryers without going bad. It extended the shelf life of cookies, crackers, and cakes for months. It was cheap, it was stable, and it was a disaster for our health. Here's why it's so uniquely toxic to the brain. Your brain cells are surrounded by a membrane, a fatty layer that acts as both a protective wall and a sophisticated communication gate. This membrane needs to be fluid and flexible, like a well-oiled hinge, to allow nutrients in and waste out, and to let nerve signals pass through seamlessly. To build these flexible membranes, your brain uses the healthy fats you eat, like omega-3s from fish. But when you consume artificial trans fats, your body doesn't recognize them as the foreign, man-made substances they are. It tries to incorporate them into your cell membranes. But trans fats are rigid and stiff. Imagine trying to build a fluid, flexible wall with crooked, brittle bricks. The wall becomes stiff, leaky, and dysfunctional. The communication gates jam. Nerve signals slow down. The whole process of thinking, remembering, and learning becomes sluggish and inefficient. This is brain fog at a cellular level. It's the feeling of your mental gears grinding instead of turning smoothly. Thankfully, many countries have banned these fats, but you must still be a detective. If you see partially hydrogenated oil on any food label, even if it says 0G trans fat, due to labeling loopholes, put it back on the shelf. Now for the second, more subtle culprit, an excess of processed omega-6 vegetable and seed oils. I'm talking about soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, and safflower oil. These are the oils used to make most processed foods, from potato chips to salad dressings, and they're the standard in most restaurant deep fryers. Let me be clear. Omega-6 fatty acids are not inherently evil. We need some for our bodies to function. The problem is one of balance. Think of it like a seesaw. On one side, you have pro-inflammatory omega-6s. On the other, you have anti-inflammatory omega-3s, the kind you find in fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds. For most of human history, our diet provided a ratio of about 1-to-1. The seesaw was perfectly balanced. Today, because of the flood of these cheap processed oils in our food supply, that ratio is closer to 20-to-1. The seesaw is stuck on the ground, permanently tilted towards inflammation. This constant state of low-grade inflammation, as we've learned, is a primary driver of brain fog and cognitive decline. Let's picture it. You go out for a casual lunch. You order the fried fish and chips. The fish is fried in a commercial vegetable oil high in omega-6. The French fries, the same. The tartar sauce is mayonnaise-based, made with more soybean or canola oil. The coleslaw dressing is, too. In one single, seemingly normal meal, you've ingested an overwhelming amount of pro-inflammatory fats that put your body and brain on high alert. You get home and feel heavy, tired, and mentally dull. It's not just the calories, it's the inflammatory cascade you've triggered. The solution here is wonderfully delicious. It's about a fat swap. First, purge your pantry of those big plastic jugs of vegetable, corn, and soybean oil. For your everyday cooking, use extra virgin olive oil, which is packed with anti-inflammatory polyphenols. For high-heat cooking, use avocado oil or coconut oil. Second, and most importantly, intentionally increase your intake of brain-building omega-3 fats. Make it a mission to eat fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, herring, or sardines 2 to 3 times a week. Snack on walnuts. Add ground flax seeds or chia seeds to your oatmeal or yogurt. Every time you make one of these choices, you are handing your brain the high-quality, flexible building blocks it needs to repair itself, fight inflammation, and keep your thoughts clear and fast. But it's not just the fats and sugars in these packaged foods that pose a threat. Manufacturers have developed a whole arsenal of other chemicals designed to make food last longer and taste more intense. And our brains are paying the price. This leads us to the fourth category: artificial additives and preservatives. These are the chemicals with long, complicated names that you'd have trouble pronouncing. They're added to our foods not for nutrition, but for commercial reasons, to enhance flavor, to improve texture, to make colors more vibrant, and to keep products from spoiling on a shelf for months or even years. While some may be harmless, a growing body of research suggests that several common additives can directly interfere with our brain's delicate chemistry. Let's focus on two of the most researched and concerning types. The first is monosodium glutamate, better known as MSG. It's a flavor enhancer famous for providing that savory, umami taste. You'll find it in many canned soups, frozen dinners, processed meats, snack chips, and in a lot of restaurant and takeout food. The way MSG works is by acting as what scientists call an excitotoxin. It overexcites your neurons, your brain cells, causing them to fire repeatedly and uncontrollably. Think of it like revving a car engine into the red zone and holding it there. For a short time, it's a powerful experience, but if you do it for too long, the engine overheats, sputters, and eventually burns out. In a similar way, this overstimulation can damage and even kill brain cells. For people who are sensitive to it, this can trigger immediate symptoms like headaches, sweating, and yes, a profound sense of brain fog and confusion. But even for those who don't have an immediate noticeable reaction, the long-term low-grade excitotoxic effect is a serious concern for a brain that is already working hard to maintain its function as it ages. The second group we need to discuss are artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin. These are often marketed as the healthy alternative to sugar, especially for diabetics or those watching their weight. They are found in thousands of products labeled diet, sugar-free, or zero-calorie, from sodas to yogurts to chewing gum. But the promise of sweetness without consequence is, for many, a dangerous illusion. Your brain is incredibly smart. When you taste something sweet, it anticipates a delivery of sugar, of calories and energy. It prepares the whole digestive and metabolic system for that arrival. But when you consume an artificial sweetener, the sweetness arrives, but the energy doesn't. This mismatch can confuse the brain's intricate appetite and reward pathways. Over time, it can disrupt your body's ability to properly regulate hunger and can even, paradoxically, increase your cravings for real sugar. More directly, some research on aspartame, for example, has shown that its components can cross the blood-brain barrier, the protective shield around your brain. Once inside, they can interfere with the production of key neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which are crucial for mood, motivation, and cognitive function. Have you ever noticed feeling irritable, anxious, or just mentally off after consuming diet drinks or foods? It may not be in your head. It could be a direct chemical consequence. It's the ultimate bait and switch, promising a benefit while potentially creating a fog of low mood and muddled thinking. Let's put this into a real-life context. Consider a common quick meal for someone on a fixed income or with limited mobility, a canned soup and some crackers. The soup might contain MSG to make its flavor more robust. The crackers might be made with partially hydrogenated oil and a list of preservatives to keep them crisp. To drink, you might have a diet soda, thinking it's the healthier choice. This single, simple meal delivers a triple hit to the brain. The excitotoxic effects of MSG, the cell-stiffening impact of lingering trans fats, and the neurochemical disruption from artificial sweeteners. You finish the meal, and instead of feeling nourished, you feel strangely drained, a little headachy, and mentally fuzzy. It's the cumulative effect of these lab-created ingredients. The empowering action here is to embrace whole, real foods. It's about shifting your mindset from eating things that come out of a box or a package to eating things that come out of the ground, off a tree, or from a farm. The goal isn't purity, it's about tipping the balance. Cook a simple soup from scratch with vegetables and chicken stock. You can make a big pot and freeze it for later. Snack on a handful of nuts or a piece of fruit instead of a processed snack bar. The fewer ingredients on the label, the better. And if you can't pronounce it, it's a good sign that your brain probably doesn't want it either. We've navigated the pantry and the grocery aisles, but now we must address something that for many of us, is a cherished part of our daily ritual, our social lives, and our way of winding down at the end of the day. Our fifth and final factor contributing to brain fog is a double-edged sword: excessive alcohol and the dehydration it causes. Now, I want to handle this topic with care. A glass of red wine with dinner has been linked to certain heart benefits, and enjoying a drink with friends is a source of great pleasure and connection, which is itself vital for brain health. We are not talking about demonizing alcohol entirely. We are talking about understanding how it changes in our bodies as we age, and how a habit that was once harmless can become a significant contributor to cognitive decline. As we get older, several things happen. Our body composition changes. We tend to have less muscle and more fat. Our liver function can become less efficient, and our bodies hold less water. All of this means that the same glass of wine or pint of beer you had at 40 can have a much more potent effect on your body and brain at 60, 70, or 80. The alcohol stays in your system longer, and its concentration in the blood is higher. So, what does alcohol do to the brain directly? It's a depressant, which means it slows down the communication between your neurons. That's why it can feel relaxing initially. It dampens the racing thoughts, but this slowing effect impacts everything. It slows your reaction time, slurs your speech, and clouds your judgment. When consumed regularly or in excess, this can lead to more lasting problems. Alcohol is directly toxic to brain cells, and chronic heavy use can lead to brain shrinkage, particularly in the frontal lobes, the area responsible for executive functions like planning, problem-solving, and emotional regulation, and the cerebellum, which controls balance and coordination. But there's a more immediate and insidious effect that contributes directly to that feeling of brain fog, even after just moderate drinking: dehydration. Alcohol is a diuretic. That means it makes you urinate more frequently by telling your kidneys to release more water. For every glass of beer or wine you drink, your body can flush out up to 4 times as much liquid. This is why you might wake up in the middle of the night parched after having a couple of drinks. Your brain, which is about 70% water, is exquisitely sensitive to your hydration status. Even mild dehydration, a loss of just 1 to 2 pints of your body water, can have a measurable impact on your cognitive performance. It can impair your concentration, shrink your short-term memory, and make you feel groggy and fatigued. Think of a juicy, plump grape versus a shriveled raisin. Dehydration does something similar to your brain cells, making them less efficient. Let's paint a picture. You have a lovely evening. You have 2 glasses of wine over a 2-hour dinner. You feel relaxed and happy. But you didn't drink much water alongside it. The alcohol acts as a diuretic overnight. It also disrupts your sleep architecture, preventing you from getting the deep, restorative sleep your brain needs to clear out tolerance. You wake up the next morning feeling fuzzy. Your head feels heavy, your thoughts are slow to form, and you can't quite shake a feeling of lethargy. You might attribute it to a restless night, but it is a classic brain fog hangover, a direct result of the alcohol's toxic and dehydrating effects on your brain. If this happens several times a week, that day after fog can start to feel like a constant state of being. The actionable advice here is about mindful moderation and strategic hydration. The current guidelines for older adults often recommend no more than 1 standard drink per day for women and men. A standard drink is a 5-ounce glass of wine, a 12-ounce beer, or a 1.5-ounce shot of spirits. Be honest with yourself about your pouring habits. A home pour of wine is often 8 or 9 ounces, which is nearly 2 drinks. Even more importantly, for every alcoholic beverage you have, make it a rule to drink a full glass of water alongside it. This counters the diuretic effect and keeps your brain happily hydrated. And consider implementing dry days during the week to give your liver and your brain a rest. You may be astonished at how much sharper and clearer you feel on the mornings after you've skipped that evening drink and opted for a cup of herbal tea or sparkling water with lemon instead. This isn't about deprivation. It's about making a conscious choice to protect the clarity and health of your mind. So, we've walked through the 5 culprits: the blood sugar chaos of refined carbohydrates, the inflammatory damage of added sugars, the cellular stiffness from damaging fats, the neurochemical disruption of artificial additives, and the dehydrating fog of excessive alcohol. It can feel like a lot. It might even feel a little overwhelming, like your kitchen has suddenly become a minefield. And if you're feeling a twinge of guilt or regret, thinking about all the white bread or diet sodas you've had over the years, I want you to take a deep breath and let that feeling go. Just let it go. This is not about blame. This is not about perfection. This is about empowerment. Because as you can see, all of these pieces connect. This isn't about fighting 5 different battles. It's about one single beautiful strategy: choosing real, whole, nourishing food. Notice the pattern? The solution to avoiding the white brigade of refined carbs is to eat whole grains. The antidote to the sweet deceivers is to enjoy the natural sweetness of whole fruits. The defense against damaging fats is to embrace the healthy, natural fats from olive oil, avocados, and fish. The way to sidestep the laboratory's contribution is to cook simple meals with ingredients you recognize. What we are really talking about is a fundamental shift. A shift from asking, "What can't I eat?" to asking, "What wonderful, delicious, powerful foods can I give my brain today?" This journey is not about restriction. It is about addition. It's about adding in more vibrant vegetables, more healthy fats, more clean proteins, and more hydrating water. When you focus on adding the good stuff, the not-so-good stuff naturally starts to get crowded out. Think of your health not as a fragile object that is destined to break, but as a garden. For years, maybe you unknowingly planted a few weeds along with the flowers. The weeds of inflammation, of insulin spikes, of cellular damage. And now the garden is a bit overgrown, a bit foggy. What we've learned today isn't a command to rip everything out in a panic. It's the knowledge of how to gently, consistently start tending to that garden. Every time you choose grilled salmon over fried fish, you are pulling a weed and planting a flower. Every time you snack on a handful of walnuts instead of a bag of cookies, you are watering the soil. Every time you drink a glass of water instead of a soda, you are giving your garden the sunlight it needs to thrive. You have spent a lifetime building the incredible, complex, beautiful garden of your mind. It holds your wisdom, your laughter, your love, your stories. It is the most precious thing you will ever own, and you have so much more power to nourish and protect it than you may have ever believed. It starts with your very next meal. I truly hope this conversation has been valuable for you, that it has turned on a light and cleared away some of the confusion. If it opened your eyes in any way, please take a moment to hit that like button. It's a simple click, but it sends a powerful signal to YouTube that this information is important, and it helps us reach more seniors who need to hear this empowering message. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive. We are building a community here, a place dedicated to aging with strength, clarity, and dignity. Your presence here matters. Stay strong, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.